All right, for this example, we're looking at both adding and subtracting complex numbers. So for these examples right here, the first thing you want to do is you want to go ahead and reformat these numbers right here so that all you're doing is you are adding the real parts and adding the imaginary parts. So what we're going to look at here is we want to look at the real parts of these two numbers, and we want to go ahead and write them together. So our real parts in this are 2 and then plus 11. You always need to make sure that you take this sign right here and apply it to the rest of your equation. You're going to see down here we've got some examples with a minus sign. Okay, so the first part we have 2 and 11, so that's going to be our real part. And we've got 9i and negative I. That's going to become our imaginary part. So we go ahead and in here we write the imaginary part. So we've got 9i, and then remember plus minus I is going to give us minus I right here. Now when we go ahead and complete this, we get 2 plus 11. That's going to give us 13. Write that here. And plus we get 9i minus I is going to give us 8i. Okay, so again, what you're doing is you're just combining your real part and combining your imaginary part. Now, if we go ahead and check our answer, when we do that, we get 13 plus 8i. Okay, so let's go ahead and look at the second example right here. Here our difference is instead of adding, we are subtracting. So in this case, we're going to have to be careful. We want to make sure that we identify that this minus sign is going to be applied to both of these terms here. So again, what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and rewrite this as our real part and our complex part, or imaginary part. Okay, so look at, we've got our real part of our first number is 13, and our real part of our second number, we've got 8, but remember, this minus gets applied to both numbers here. So we've got 13 minus 8. Okay, that's our real part, and we're combining that with the imaginary part of each number. So in this case, we've got 4i, so 4i becomes the first part of our imaginary part, and we take the imaginary part of our second number, which is 4i, but remember, we've got the negative, so it becomes minus 4i. So we do minus 4i. Okay, so we look at, now we're going to combine these, and we get 13 minus 8, which gives us 5, and plus 4i minus 4i gives us 0. So we get 5 plus 0i. And when we go ahead and write that, when we go ahead and combine it for our answer, we just get 5 as our final answer. So 13 or 5 plus 0i gives us 5. Now when we look at our last part, here we've got our second number is split up. We've got our real part out here and then our imaginary part at the end. But remember, all we're doing is we're just taking all of our real terms and combining them together, and all of our imaginary terms and combining them together. So here, let's go ahead and find all of our real terms. So in this case, we look through, and our real terms are 16. And remember, this negative goes to each of these terms in here. So minus 13. So we get 16 minus 13 as our real portion. And remember, we're adding that, we're combining that with our imaginary portion. So we go ahead and we find 6i is our first term. And remember, the minus goes to 6i. So this becomes minus 6i. And then we are adding that to our other imaginary part. So we get minus 6i and then plus 8i. So in this case, sorry, my eye is a little messed up there. So now when we add these together, we're going to get 16 minus 13, which gives us 3, and then minus 6i plus 8i, which gives us plus, we get positive 2i. And when we go ahead and check our answer, we should get 3 plus 2i. We go ahead and check, we get 3 plus 2i. So the key concept here is that no matter what you're doing, whether you're adding two complex numbers, subtracting complex numbers, or you have your terms all kind of split up here, what you're doing is you are combining all of your real terms in parentheses, and you're adding that to the result of all of your imaginary terms combined in a parentheses. Now, what I want you to keep in mind, if we look at this, this is almost like when we work with a variable, like 4x right here, or 9x minus x. You've already been doing this for years. You've just been combining like terms with constants and with numbers that have a variable. This is no different, except instead of an x, you guys have the letter I in here. So don't let the imaginary part intimidate you or stress you out thinking that this is something new. You've already been combining like terms for years now. It's just in this case it's an I instead of an X. So just keep that in mind as you go through these.